good over there. Oh, yeah. Come on. Here we go. All right. It looks like that's working. Well, this isn't working. Please hold. Okay. Let's see how that's working. That all looks good. That all looks fine. I think we can now get rid of the starting soon because now it's actually, starting for reals because, hi, welcome to another taping of Podcast Pontifications with me, your host, Evo Terra. Thank you very much for joining me on this Thursday, November the 4th. Happy birthday to my father, who's not watching, so I'll call him a little bit later on. And yesterday's my mom's birthday. Isn't that weird? Timing works kind of weird. Hey, if you are brand new to the program, welcome. You're about to see a live taping. This is not the podcast proper. This is the 2 or 3 minutes before the podcast itself begins, or at least the taping of said podcast. This is the live look, the behind the scenes. You're in the studio with me. Today's topic will be Facebook ads for podcasts. Good money after bad math. Yes. Won't this be fun? I hate to go on break at a downer note, but hey, it's not not really a downer. It's information. I'm here to share information. So again, thank you very much for joining me. This was going to be, FYI, the last live stream I do for Podcast Pontifications for this year, at least for 2021. As many of you know who have been watching me do these live things for the longest time, I take a break November and December. You might have noticed it's November already. Yeah, normally I'm on break by now, but because of scheduling, I had to extend it by a week. But after this, I will be done. So there will be no more episodes of Podcast Pontifications coming for 2021, at least. Everything resumes on January the 4th, 2022. I'll say that in a minute when I actually start to record the actual show itself. But, just in case you were wondering what is going on, that's what's going on. Now you have all of the details that you could ever possibly want, at least I think. Right, so what else was I going to say before I jump into things? Oh, there's a chat window. If you are new and you're watching, whether you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, I should see the chats. Now, what was interesting is a friend of mine was doing a live stream last night, and I opted to watch the live stream on YouTube. He's also a podcaster. Hi, Scott. And what I was seeing on YouTube were comments from other people as well. I think Restream, the service that I'm using here to send my face and voice to you, it looks to me like it's actually routing all of the comments around. So in the event that you have a comment on another platform, you might see that. Good morning, Arlen. So like I see Arlen is on Facebook, so if somebody else is watching on YouTube or Twitter or LinkedIn, they might have seen Arlen's Good Morning Evo comment with a little bracket Facebook, so you know where it came from, which I think is kind of neat. I do think it's kind of neat, yeah. Yeah, so again, if you like your morning fixes with me, well, you might want to find a different way to get them for some time now. Because this is not what I'm going to do in the mornings for a few weeks, which is going to be kind of great as I focus on other things. Anyhow, a little behind-the-scenes stuff also on this particular episode. This is related to a situation that I started, pushed forward, whatever, all the way back in August. It's about a Facebook ad campaign you might remember that I reluctantly began. And so here are the results. Here are the results we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to be real and real honest, which probably isn't going to make everybody happy, but nonetheless, it's what I do. I got the real deal. And also, for those of you who are data nerds, at the end of the show, I'm going to tell you there's a link to a spreadsheet, and you'll find that on the article, because all this is going to be posted at podcastpontifications.com in about 3 hours from now. So that's where you'll find the link. So if you want to pore over all of the data and make sure that I got it right, or even try to prove me wrong or say, hey, here's a mistake that you made, that's fine. You can feel free to do that, because that is your prerogative. Just like, well, hey, you do you. Okay, so I think the voice is where the voice is going to be. I'll pull up QuickTime Get that over there. Let me switch over so that I can do my cold open. I have to read that first and see how things go. Let's slide it on over. Oh, that's too tight. Let's do this right here. It's too tight. Too tight. My British accent's terrible. Okay. Here's the cold open. It's said that money can't buy happiness. Well, it can't buy podcast listeners either, according to the data generated from a Facebook ad experiment I funded for 76 days and have just terminated. Just 4 days ago, whatever. You hear that? I hear that. Hey, Google, set the temperature to 25 degrees. See? This is why we do things. Okay. Yes, now she will do that. Oh, I forgot to throw in 15 minutes, so I'll have to remember to turn it back on, which I probably won't. Sorry, honey. Okay. That was a cold open. That's what I'm going to say. Let's get this road on the show. Audio recording. Video recording. Good morning, Allie. It's said that money can't buy happiness. Well, it can't buy podcast listeners either. Not according to the data generated from a Facebook ad experiment I funded for 76 days and have just terminated. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. Over the last 2.5 months, let's say, I spent $360 in media to prove something I already knew. Facebook ads are not a great choice to grow the audience of a podcast. More specifically than that, running an ad campaign on Facebook is prohibitively expensive. It's a prohibitively expensive way to generate and acquire a measurable, increased number of listeners to your podcast. And again, I knew this to be the case. Yet I still contracted with a firm that specializes in running Facebook advertising campaigns to grow podcast audiences dramatically. I did that. I have them run the experiment to take my negativity out of the mix because, hey, maybe I'm wrong about this. Spoiler, I was not wrong. But a quick programming note. This is the final episode of 2021. My long winter's nap commences right after this and will end on January the 4th, 2022. So if you're brand new, welcome. I got 500 episodes in the can for you to ponder while I take my little break here, so please stay subscribed or stay followed, whatever we're calling it these days. Whatever. Cool? Cool. All right, back to the money. Now that $360 I spent on targeted Facebook ads brought me to my show 500 clicks. Great. But that's 500 clicks, not listeners. It is very easy to buy clicks. And at less than $1 a click, they seem like they might actually be inexpensive. But clicks by themselves, like monthly downloads by themselves, is kind of a worthless number. It's useless. I mean, the real question is, did those 500 clickers become 500 listeners? Okay, maybe not 500. What about 400 listeners then? Let's take it down a notch. Let's go half. 250? Well, in a word, no. In 4 words, no, of course not. Nor would I expect them to. And nor should you. And nor should the person running your advertising campaign. And here's why. Now remember, I have spent for the better part of 2 decades running digital advertising companies. So I know that most people who click on an ad will not actually convert. And of course, in my case, converting means actually becoming a listener of the program. So what percentage of clickers will convert? Well, historically and across the broad range of advertising, we typically project somewhere between 0.2% and 2% for a conversion rate. That's it. 2% at the most. 2 out of 100. Now, 2% of those, again, that's the high end, 2% of the 500 clicks I had would be 10. Okay, fine. Maybe the ad campaign got me 10 new listeners. If I look at, and I have looked at, my average 7 and 28 day per episode download numbers, then sure, I think I can probably see it got me maybe 10 more listeners, or at least 10 more listeners are inside of that growth. But that 10 more listeners cost me $360 in media dollars to acquire. That's a really expensive acquisition cost, especially considering the fact that I'm not selling a product on my podcast to you, my listeners. So, after 76 days of spending, when there were no indications whatsoever that the campaign would do anything more unless I threw more money at it, I pulled the plug. I was pretty confident at the time, and still am, that I had enough data to say that, no, of course it didn't work, as I anticipated. Now, I could wax poetically for as long as you really want about why this plan failed to work, and, in my considered opinion, will always fail to work. I could slice and dice the numbers. I could analyze the efficacy of the messaging that was used. We could extrapolate on the disconnect between clicking to a website and subscribing/following a podcast, or even remind you that of the lack of attribution tracking we get from podcast listening apps that makes it vastly different than other sorts of digital advertising. And yes, all of those issues are very, very real, and all of them played a part contributing to why campaigns like this, and this one specifically, failed. But let's go back to the beginning, where I said that I spent this money to prove something I already knew. That's true, but it's only part of the truth. I did it so that I could demonstrate to you, the serious podcaster, that it would not work. And quite frankly, given the current state of podcasting, where we live today with the technologies that work to make podcasting work, this kind of advertising campaign can't work. Clicks on ad campaigns do not matter if those clicks fail to convert people to being listeners. And at best, 98% of the clicks you pay for will not convert someone to becoming a listener of your show. So my advice, don't waste your money on this. Now, for those data nerds out there, I am publishing, and have linked in the episode details, a link to the Google sheet that has all of these numbers on it. Feel free to examine the results at your leisure, go as deep as you want to. I've got tabs showing the 7-day and 28-day per episode downloads that I get from my hosting company, Captivate. I've got the Facebook campaign data, and I've got a few fancy charts to show you what I'm not seeing in these lackluster results. Now, also with that, this is the end of this half season of podcast pontifications. It is now coming to a close. For the next few weeks, I'll be taking what I call my long winter's nap. My plan is to emerge with all new content just after the new year, I think on January 4th, 2022, right now. But during that time, over these next few weeks, I will still be quite active, mostly on Twitter, sometimes also in the Advancing Podcasting community. Are you a part of that? advancingpodcasting.xyz. Please chime in. That's a Discord server that is set up just for serious podcasters. Please join us over there. So that's it. I shall be back on January 4, 2022 with yet another podcast, Pontifications. Cheers. Hey, that did not go as long as I thought it was going to. I mean, it went fine. I'm not complaining about the length and the content, but there you go. Facebook advertising. Eva Was Not Wrong is the name of my 7th album. Awesome. Hey, cool. I can see that Dawn's talking to me on YouTube. Thank you, Dawn. Hello, Arlen. Well, there you go, people. I spent money so you don't have to. This is probably going to leave a mark for some people. But that is okay. And once again, thank you very much for joining me on the live stream. A reminder, again, I just said at the end there, I'm taking a break. Oh, by the way, if you just joined me, if you're just now listening in, hey, you missed it. And while you could back up 14 minutes and 52 seconds to catch the beginning of the live stream, I have another suggestion for you. If you hang out do whatever you want to do for a few hours. You'll have everything ready at podcastpontifications.com. So like right now, go to podcastpontifications.com and put your email, click the button that says never miss an episode, and put your email address in. And then you, like everybody else that subscribed to that, will get an email with the article that I'm about to write. That's my next job. I'm going to take every word that came forth of my mouth and use my brain and my fingers to rearrange it into something that seems comprehensible to people who read. So you'll get that email to you in 2 hours and 46 minutes. Yeah. And then, of course, if you're subscribed or because you're following the show on a podcast app, you'll get that too. But you especially want this one because of that link to the Google sheet with all of these tabs in it, so you can make sure that I'm not full of shit. Because I'm not. But nonetheless, there it is. So that's it, kids. Have a lovely rest of your day, your week, your weekend, your November, your December. Happy Thanksgiving, Americans. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year to everybody. See you back here for the live stuff. Theoretically, well, I'll see you back. You'll definitely see me again on July the 4th. Live stuff's questionable right now, but nonetheless, Podcast Pontifications is back on January 4th, 2022. Zero chance of that not happening because I've already acquired sponsors for the first few months, so I kind of have to put out episodes. So nothing will motivate you more than putting out episodes than getting sponsors for your program. Yay! All right, gang. Be well. Have a lovely one. See you next time. Bye.